Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Meadows. This is the big match preview, and it's a packed show for you this evening. We'll be looking back at yet another win for the Addicks, 2-1 triumph up at Mansfield Town during the week, and of course ahead to Saturday's home game with Lincoln City at the Valley, plus much more to get our teeth into. Joining me to do all of that, first up, top right, Mr. Tom William. How you doing, Tom?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Yeah, another win, another 3 points. Happy days.
Little whiff of the top two in the air again, isn't there? It's floating over nicely. And talking of whiffs, Mark Newbury joins us at the bottom of the screen. How you doing, Mark?
That's just a whiff of success, mate. That's all.
Yeah, lovely stuff. Good to have the pair of you with us. So as I said, we'll look back at the win at Mansfield. We're going to hear from the Addicks boss, Nathan Jones. We're going to hear from the man who started his first Addicks game as well, Tom McIntyre. Then don't forget, Saturday, it's the Upbeats walk. So we're going to hear from Terry Pert from the Community Trust. And one of the Upbeats, Will, is going to join us as well. We're going to hear from a Lincoln City fan later on in the show. Charlie will give us the lowdown on the Imps, and we'll hear from Nathan Jones looking ahead to that game as well. We want to hear from you guys as well. Evening to everyone who's joined us in the chat. Sam is in there. Keith is in there. All Hell Let Loose is in there. Loads of you having lots to say. Robert, Frankie, Mickey, Bob, Shiny Phil. Let us know your thoughts after the Mansfield game. What do you make of the fact that Miles Leeburn, unfortunately, is going to miss the rest of the season with his quad injury we found out today? The Wrexham game has been moved to a 5:30 kickoff. Loads of talking points you might want to have your say on. Email us, studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can stick a comment in the live chat here on our YouTube channel. Let us know your thoughts. Just before we hear the goals, Tom, Tuesday night, I mean, they're not all going to be like thumping 4-0 wins. You know, we might have enjoyed Huddersfield a little bit too much, but, you know, Tuesday's win at Mansfield was just as satisfying because it was a battle. And, you know, how many times towards the end of the season under Powley, when we won this league, did we still have to battle games out? We're going to have to do it between now and the end of the season. That's exactly what we did on Tuesday.
Yeah, not as enjoyable, but definitely, as you said there, as vital, as crucial. And as you say, it's sometimes that just has to be done. It's not always going to be the case that we can roll teams over. And I thought for the first 30, 35 minutes, and I think Nathan Jones said the same, we largely saw the sort of performance that we're used to seeing from our side, got ourselves in front, and then I thought we dropped off. I don't know whether that was us dropping off, whether that was Mansfield really stepping up. But it didn't feel like one of our fluid performances. And I thought for large parts of the middle of that game, they were the better side. And when they scored, it felt to me like they might actually go on and nick it. The crowd were up at that point as well. But we've got our little weapon up front, TC. Game changers made a big difference. And I think on balance, getting that goal, it was probably a deserved win overall with the performance when you factor in that first half an hour. But as you say, we had to do the dirty side of the game. We had to really battle to that victory. And sometimes that's just as satisfying. As I say, not as enjoying. You don't enjoy it as much in terms of watching it, but definitely as satisfying in terms of the result. And, you know, the points are the same. So I think to go up there to get that result and to come back now and look at Lincoln, it's just a fantastic week so far. And if we were to get 9 points from the week and cap it off this weekend as well, as I say, who knows what's going to happen with the others, like we spoke about on Sunday. But we're putting ourselves in a really good position to hunt down that second place.
Yeah, a couple of sides above us drop points on Tuesday night. We're there putting on the pressure. Let's have a listen back to the goals from Charlton TV. Brownie was alongside Terry Smith.
If it's going to work.
Yeah, a little bit more air on.
Oh, there's a loose pass back. It's back to Godden in the area. Shoots and scores! Matty Godden on hand from one incredibly poor back pass. On the edge of the D, took it into the penalty area, slotted it home. I think that might have been Craig who gave him the ball. Well, absolutely clear and free, and Matty Godden doesn't miss those.
He doesn't. It's still a very cool finish.
Into the penalty area now on the left side. Drilled the ball across, taking a deflection into Gillespie. They want a handball, and then the finish comes in from Craig. And the equaliser is there. I don't know whether that player switched off because the handball shot, but Craig met it on the full as it deflected out to the edge of the area and finished beyond Mannion with the volley. And we're all square here.
Yeah, well, there's your answer to where the goal's going to come from. It's going to come from a central midfielder who plays quite deep. He's managed to get himself to the edge of the box.
Yeah, hits it towards Godden. Little chest control into Aniki. Chucks Aniki, finds Campbell to his right. Campbell gets into the box, takes a shot. Oh! What a finish from Therese Campbell! Just made enough room on his right-hand side to get past McLaughlin. Unleashed an unstoppable shot past Pym. And the Addicks are back in front.
Turns out it's a great ball from Aniki. From that deep throw in, they've just given us possession in all the wrong areas, Mansfield. Great chest inside from Matty Godden. Super support position from Aniki. And actually the ball across is a good ball, because you could forgive him for taking a touch and trying to get a shot away, but he finds Campbell, the man who is absolutely banging form. Once he beats the pressure from McLaughlin, he just whips that right foot behind the back of the ball, underneath Pym. It's a man who can't stop scoring at the moment.
There we go, Tyrese Campbell back amongst the goals after his brace over the weekend with the match winner for the Addicks up at Field Mill. So important, Mark, is that stage of the season now. I don't care how we win games, but that was exciting Tuesday night. You know, we get a relatively late winner. We're seeing goals going in elsewhere. There was a rumour that Wrexham had gone and nicked one late on as well that thankfully turned out not to be true. I don't know if they had one disallowed or something, but yeah, we did what we had to do.
Yeah, and that's it, exactly. I mean, the last 10 minutes weren't exactly the hairiest I've actually seen us defending, and with Mitchell coming on was probably the best thing we could do. It just kept sort of like being pumped back, but they couldn't do anything with it. But it just shows again the resilience and attributes which we've like benefited the team of, the energy they can still produce in the 90th minute to throw bodies, to get heads on things, and to, you know, nick it away. So, you know, you'll take it. I'd said last week before 4-0, I'd take an ugly win. I just didn't expect it to be a Mansfield game. So, and really great finish from TC. He's happy on either foot, and once he'd swapped, I mean, the commentator had said he hadn't really got as much joy on the left, and as soon as he swapped to the right, he got space. You know, drilled it hard and low. Goalkeeper's probably got to look at himself a bit there, but don't care. And I thought, to be quite honest, it could have been 3, because Aniki's, you know, half volley, which was flying in, and their goalkeeper did make a fantastic save, you know, would have probably been the icing on the cake. But, you know, 2-1, 3 points. And I think a lot of the teams who are around us, who were looking at the time, like Stockport were winning, everyone else was drawing. Discounting Birmingham. And everyone was saying, oh, you know, it's okay because Charlton are drawing them up. And then suddenly you see those results. Their fans now are going to be quite nervous. And I like putting that pressure on their fans more than on the teams as such, because we have nothing to lose from our season. But the teams who are giving it the Charlie Big potatoes, you know, they've got a lot to lose now.
Charlie Big Potato. That's a great phrase, that is. Yeah, a lot of people talk about TC then, so his winning goal. Amani saying Campbell's found another level since getting his song. I think we need more songs for players that lack confidence at times. I mean, it was another goal for him, third in 2 games, an excellent finish. You know, we've heard Nathan Jones speaking, sort of bigging him up. He's talking about how he's could have got into his Southampton squad in the Premier League. Although, to be fair, I think a lot of us could have that Southampton team. But, you know, jokes aside, you know, Russell saying he's nowhere near a Premier League player yet. But if we go up, I think he'll stay, and then he'll go on to be sensational. His effort is relentless. It's superb, and that confidence behind the player, Tom, is clear to see. And, you know, especially now with, as we said, with Miles out, there's going to be more pressure on the starting forwards to get even more goals. And well, TC's answering those questions at the moment.
Yeah, he's got big potatoes, hasn't he, in terms of having that confidence to just take those chances on at the moment. And we saw it on Saturday's game, the way, particularly that second goal, but also the first one, the way he just didn't really hesitate on the ball like he has done in the past. And he just goes off instinct, cuts in. Obviously, the first one moves out wide, takes it on his left. Second one cuts inside, takes it on his right. And again here, just gets into position and just has a shot. And I think, I don't know, maybe he's realised that the standard of goalkeeping at this level is not what he thought it was. As I said about him sort of warming up the other day, he certainly seems accurate. Whether that's always been the case, I don't know. But certainly recently just seems to be hitting the target a lot more. And it catches teams unaware, rather than sort of hesitating, looking for Matty Godden, looking for whoever he's playing alongside. He's just taking the chance himself. And joking aside about the big potatoes, that does take confidence. That takes, you need to have confidence in yourself to hit that. And I think he's part of a team that are obviously on a good run and a team that are, prepared to back him. So if he does sky one, they're not going to be on his back saying you've wasted a chance. Whereas maybe at the start of this season where we were creating less, the XG for every chance had to be almost 1 for us to take it, because we were so worried that if we didn't take one chance, we wouldn't get another. But now we're getting 4, 5, 6 chances a game because of the form we're on and the momentum we're on, that actually he's got confidence to go, do you know what, I'll have a go. And if not, another chance will come around. So, yeah, he's a man absolutely banging form. I think we all knew that the talent and potential that he had. I think the consistency obviously is just growing and growing, and that still needs to just continue to grow. But I don't think I expected him to have the finishing prowess that he's got at the moment. Being that young and being the sort of maverick winger, I think he just seems so reliable in front of goal now. If I see him get the ball on the edge of the box, I'm more likely thinking we're going to score here than not. And it's very rare that happens for the sort of mercurial winger that he was. It's becoming more of a centre forward. So he really has got everything. As you say, I saw Nathan Jones's comments, and that Southampton side obviously is 1 point, but surely if he continues this trajectory, he'll be in the Premier League. Obviously, it'd be lovely if it was with us in a couple of years, but he's just got everything going for him. But if other fans are listening, he's awful. And you don't want him.
Yeah, I do like the idea of clubs doing all their scouting for our players on Cheltenham Live, and therefore if Tom Walling says he's no good, we will not be signing him. The opening goal, as Joe put somewhere in the chat about the assist, was quite something. Reed couldn't have played a better pass if he tried, Joe said. I know people accuse me of having, holding grudges against former players, but I think that was Deji Oshalaja's fault, because he was the one who played it to Reed. Put him under too much pressure. So Reed had no choice but to lay it straight off to Matty Godden. But yeah, look, Sniffer Dog didn't have to sniff too hard for that one. It was laid on a plate for him. But he still had to finish it and did so with aplomb, Mark.
Yeah, he probably couldn't believe his luck when it was put into his path, and literally 1-2 touches just on the edge of the area. Didn't try and do anything fancy like go around the keeper. Just placed it to the right, his right, keeper's left, and the keeper's just thought, well, oh yeah, thanks for that. It was lovely. Then the celebration leaves a lot to be desired, because it seemed like he was in about 12 different minds what you should do. But again, I've said this before. He's a natural finisher. He's not looking up. He knows where the goal is. He knows where the goalkeeper is. He's just stroked it nicely into the bottom corner. And also, he still his effort. He just doesn't stop. He's got a real good engine on him as well. And it's lovely to have a player with that kind of confidence, who you're not thinking, he's on such a good run at the moment, and I can see him getting 20 before the end of the season. So why not?
Isaac saying Oshalaja must have been drinking the vodka and the Jaeger. It did well. That's not for us to say, is it? But yeah, Paul said he never played a pass to a jump player before. Tom says Deji thought he was still. This is really harsh considering it definitely wasn't his mistake. But we've all honed in on him now. That's excellent. That's what I wanted. The big news, obviously, before the game, Tom, was no Lloyd Jones. And in comes Tom McIntyre, who we're going to hear from later on in the show. His first start for the club, and well, again, I thought he did really well. I think there's always going to be a fear when you're taking your best player out the side, or one of your best players, when Lloyd comes out. But actually, we had a difficult spell. But defensively, again, was there that many chances? He had the one that didn't go in, that the Sky commentator was convinced did go in, which was quite funny. But other than the goal, I don't remember a great deal. I think we tended to try and restrict them to not too much.
And even the goal was some strike, wasn't it? So it wasn't like that was something that we'd really given up particularly easily. I said to you, didn't I, that I bumped into Lloyd on the tube on the way home from Stockport, and he said his knee was hurting then, because we'd seen him go down, hadn't we? Always hobbling around at the end of that game, and I think it had been bothering him for a while. I can't remember. It wasn't the knee that he said, was it? That Jones gave us the reason, but I think he's been playing through some pain, not necessarily an injury, but some pain for a little while. So I think taking him out the side is the right call. Hopefully this is protection rather than it's something that's got too bad to the point where he can't play. And McIntyre, we've seen in spells, haven't we, come in and do a little bit in midfield, but only really cameos. And we thought he was cover for Gillespie, obviously, who has really stepped up his performances. So we knew he was competent. He came with a relatively good reputation as well in terms of what people were saying about him, and I think he's done fine. As you say, the fact that they didn't have a lot of chances, I don't want to say he didn't have too much to do. I think he did have a little bit to do, and he just did it very, very well. It's as simple as that. And Jones talked about it today, didn't he? It's a squad game. We saw Alex Mitchell come on for the last few minutes, who was, a big, big part of our defence, both when we were keeping a lot of clean sheets at the start of the season and also when we were struggling. And we're going to need these players. We're about to talk about, or I don't know if we are going to come on to Leeburn in more detail, but obviously Chucks and Kanu, who's out injured at the moment, and Ahad May, who's been, pushed out into the distance, but may well have to come back in, if at least around the bench, if Leeburn's not available. We're going to need all these players. So, for a player to come in who hasn't had a lot of minutes, who's in on loan, and to put in a performance like that, if Gilbert has to do the same in midfield at any point, this is exactly what we need from them. And Jones, I saw someone in the chats point to Jones in terms of he deserves credit for Campbell's confidence. He deserves credit for the way that he's managing this squad generally, because, as I say, Mitchell almost frozen out, you might say, in terms of being a starter at the start of the season and now getting nowhere near the side or even the bench. But then when he is asked, he comes on, he does his job effectively. McIntyre the same. So, it all goes back to that point we're saying, that feel-good feeling, the momentum that's around the club. But, it was a very assured performance from him. And if he has to play again on Saturday, if Lloyd Jones is still out or rested or whatever, I've got absolutely confidence that he'll put in another good performance.
Yeah, Keith says he had a great game. McIntyre, Massey said he had a quality game, was very composed as well. I mean, Dean said about the midfield, the Dock and Coventry must be the best midfield pairing in the league. The energy levels, challenges, closing down, range of passing. I mean, they're particularly the energy levels and the closing down and the challenges and that sort of thing are how this side operates, Mark. Like, without that midfield doing that, then we don't have the ability to play the way we want to play, and it's been so important. I mean, you watch Connor Coventry, like, if you keep, like, again, we've said it loads of times this year, he's not one to like fly into the James Tarkowski challenge like we saw last night. He's not one like that. He just reads the game really well and steps in. But that engine room is so important for this side.
It is. I mean, he makes space for himself, Coventry, and he's looking for the ball, and he's looking to get his head up, and he's looking to be an outlet if it's getting a bit tight. And that's what I think. The game Tuesday night, it was a tight game across that midfield. We didn't have a lot of time on the ball in any particularly big spell. Terry Small, Ramsey, where you expect them to be doing quite a few raids. Edwards on the other side, not so much, because Mansfield, to their credit, I thought played pretty well. They disrupted us. They wouldn't let us really get into a pattern. I mean, going back to McIntyre, I was surprised when he started, more so because the opposition had Jordan Rhodes, and Rhodes has scored against us for fun for almost every team he's come up against Charlton, and he's a bit of an old stager, so he knows when to stick a foot out and then fall over. And he bought a couple of free kicks that way. Didn't get the penalty he wanted because that was just ridiculous. But McIntyre came in and he just did simple things. He passed the Charlton shirts, and then when he had to, he booted it out as far as he could. And I thought, I like that. He wasn't trying to overplay it. And so get it into the midfield. And like you say, Coventry and then Berry as well, flitting around everywhere, being that sort of like third person behind Godden and TC gives us hope. And like I say, when he brings on the changes, and we all know about Karoy, is athletic. He probably could have done better with a couple of chances he had. Chucks is Chucks. We can talk about Chucks' good bits and bad bits all day. The only thing I feel with that, not having anyone sharp up front, it did give them a chance at the end to bring the ball out quite a bit, because there's no one. He hasn't got the speed to press people back, because that was never really his game. But I think if we get the ball, you need an outlet up front, and you can't knock it and hope Chucks is going to sprint after it, because that's not going to happen. But Coventry, it's tough, because I said the other day when we were talking about player of the year, and most people's now there's about 5 or 6, and I think Coventry could throw his hat onto that pile as well, because I think he's had a sort of like 3/4 of a season where he's been actually really, really good, and we've seen the potential coming out of him. So I just hope they stay fit and they stay focused.
Lovely stuff. So it's 6 points again now, Tom. Is it 6? Yeah, 6 points. So I've made a spreadsheet, but I'm not going to show it on the screen because it's not the most aesthetically pleasing one. But I've just tried to run through like what do we need to happen then now between now and the end of the season? Like I think we need to win all of our games to have any chance. So and I'm looking directly at Wrexham here. So I'm kind of discounting Wycombe, which we shouldn't really do because they're above us and they have a game in hand. But as it stands, Wrexham are the side in the lead. We're going to have to catch at least one of these two teams, well, both of them to get into the top two. But Wrexham are the one out top at the moment. So if we beat them at their place, then we need them to drop points in maybe 2 other games, and then that would mean that we get there. So if they lose to say Blackpool away, which is a losable game, and then draw away at Wigan, and then lose at home to us, they would end on 88, and then we would have to win all of our remaining games to get up to 90. So that's the way it could happen. So it's a big ask, but I mean, if you were to ask us which one of the sides in this top 4 look most likely to win all of their remaining games at the moment, on form it has to be us, doesn't it?
You'd certainly say so. Yeah, and I don't want to get too optimistic and get carried away with that, but yes, I found myself this afternoon looking at Wrexham's remaining fixtures, which I said I wasn't going to do, and looking at that, even that last game of the season away at Lincoln, and I'm like, come on, Lincoln, do us a favour. If we can beat Lincoln, for example, this weekend, and then they go and beat Wrexham, and there's a 6-point swing down to them, then yeah, that Conor McGrandles transfer was really worth the money, wasn't it? So yeah, look, I completely agree with you. And this goes back to Nathan Jones's point, right? He always says we've just got to concentrate on us. And he's right, because we have to win all of our games, basically. And I agree with you that I think has to be the first part of this. I do think there is enough across the league that all of the teams could slip up. So that includes us. But I don't think I think Wrexham are absolutely capable of messing up a couple of games. Wycombe are. And we are potentially, but less so at the moment. So yeah, I think it's possible, and I think whilst it's possible, we have to, as fans, we have to believe it, because you listen to the crowd on Tuesday night, you listen to the crowd even on Saturday. That's a crowd who are singing because they've got belief, and if that was just a crowd that had belief of playoffs, I don't think it would be as loud, because playoffs, pretty much as we said on Sunday, is pretty much nailed on. So that is a crowd that's willing that team on because they know it's possible to get something more. If we don't, we just don't want it to be down to us, right? At this point in the season, we want to do everything we can. If Wrexham go and win all of their games with last-minute spawny goals like they seem to be doing every week, you hold your hands up, you go, fair enough, Hollywood's won, up you go to the Championship, and hopefully you get bullied there. But if they do slip up, we just need to be ready. We have to be ready. And that's why it's just so exciting. You know, I for years have said I'm not happy in this league because the games just aren't exciting. But to go into the last 6 games of the season and still have Wycombe and Wrexham to play, both away, is just, that's what you want. That's what you want, whatever league you're in. Even if you're in, I don't know, some sort of pub league, you want that sort of drama, and we've got it now. So, yeah, we need to step up as players. You know, we went to Birmingham, we had all that belief around the Birmingham game, and it didn't quite work out, although I thought we played okay. We've got to have learned from that, and we've got to just go into these games and just do everything we can to get our points, see where the chips fall. And if they slip up, we need to be there ready to pounce. And yeah, I still think it's possible.
And we keep saying Stockport not to be written off either. But, you know, like I say, because in this scenario, I've got us winning all of our games. I think we have to. So Wrexham, Burton at home, Saturday. It's an early kickoff, similar to Wycombe. They're at home. Or they're away, I think, to Reading. So those two will both be finishing before we start. So we'll know a little bit more. You know, imagine if they've dropped points again before kickoff. That would make it very exciting. Burton beat Leyton Orient during the week. You know, never know. They're on a bit of an upturn. Wigan away can be tricky, but not really playing for a great deal, I don't think. Bristol Rovers at home for Wrexham. You'd fancy them to beat them. Blackpool away. Blackpool decide that potentially making a dart for the top 6. And then they've got us at home, penultimate day of the season, you know, and that's in our hands. If we can win that, we can win that. And then Lincoln away on the final day, which again, you know, it's a tricky place to go. So it's an easier running than perhaps some teams, but like I say, a couple of these teams are playing for stuff, and Blackpool are looking dangerous. Like if we just run through Wickham again quickly, Reading away, all sorts going on there. Huddersfield away is their game in hands. I think they'll probably win that at this rate because Huddersfield seems to be a bit all over the place. Stevenage at home can be a tricky side to play against. Don't concede many goals. Bolton away, have been on the up. Had a couple of dodgy results. Us, again, it's in our hands. And then Wickham's last 2 games, Orient away and Stockport at home. Games you can lose in this division. Right, let's have a listen to what the Addicks boss Nathan Jones had to say on Tuesday night. I wasn't up there, so for BBC London, it was Stuart Smith who had this conversation with Nathan Jones.
3 points, very valuable points on the road. A very, very tough game. Really good start, bright start, and you got that early goal.
Yeah, look, first and foremost, the win is everything. Performance, then we'll pick holes in certain things. I thought we were a really good start. We were front-footed and everything we did, and then we come off the gas. We allowed, and credit to Mansfield. Mansfield wanted to step onto us. We allowed them to do that by the tempo that we played with and what we did, and then they probably got a deserved equaliser. So half-time we had a bit of a reset. Spoke to the players. And then came out and I thought we were much, much better second half. Made some positive changes, got the goal, and then saw the game out well, and that's probably what it was about.
Yeah, from dominating that first half, most of it, conceding the equalising goal. They did come out probably quite aggressive in the second period and put you under a fair amount of pressure, though.
Yeah, but look, we've got a good defensive record. No clean sheet tonight, which was a little bit disappointing. But you can't have shutouts all the time. But what we showed tonight was real character, real resilience, a real fighting spirit. When we weren't at our fluent best, we've got people that can hurt teams, and we showed that tonight.
It's good when you get 2 different goals, one almost on a plate for Matty Godden, thank you very much, and then great finish from Tyrese Campbell. Yeah, look, and the first one comes from our press and comes from the high turnover. We pride ourselves on that, and then Matty still has to show the composure to score. As I said, I was disappointed with that little period just before half time because we allowed a team to step on us and we didn't combat that. And then look, second half, we've had a few chances, we've had a lot of situations, but then Tyrese, what he does, we switched him over to the other side, felt he could have a little bit of joy, and as I said, he did. There's still lots of points to play for, and anything can happen really with so many in the mix, but it's important that you keep on going as you did tonight.
Oh, absolutely. We just take every game as it comes. We're looking to win the next one, then the next one, and so on. It's a cliche, but we're in a very, very good position. 72 points is a real good haul for this stage of the season, especially compared to where we were last year. So we're in a decent place, but nothing achieved yet, nothing decided, so we just keep fighting.
Keep it going.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
There you go. That's Nathan speaking to Stuart Smith from BBC Radio London during the week. It's not getting carried away, Tom, as we'd expect. But yeah, he's got to be pleased with where he finds his side. I still can't get my head around how much of a change it's been. Like, if you go back, I know we've said this so many times, but if you go back to December and to where we are now, the run we've been on, 15 wins in, 22, 23 games, that is title winning form. Like, there's unbelievable form for a side that, a lot of us are writing off, saying there's no way it's possible to go from where we were to where we are now. The run they've been on is just ridiculous. And if they'd stretched it for another 3 games, started it 3 games earlier, we would be banging that top 2.
I think if Nathan Jones had the back end of last season with this group of players, that would have happened. I think the start of this season was a case of finding our feet. Again, I've mentioned him already on this show, but Ghassan Ahmad was starting games for us for 10, 12 games at the start of this season until we kind of came to the conclusion that, I think actually he was injured, wasn't he? That was initially why he stepped out of that side, but the team was built around that. It was built around I know Nathan Jones for a while was kind of denying this, but it was built around a much more direct style of play than it is now. That midfield was, I know Coventry had been in it before, relatively brand new in terms of them clicking. We didn't have Thierry Small in the position that he plays now. We didn't have Ramsey. Godden wasn't up to speed with this team. TC wasn't quite used to this role yet. All of that stuff, sadly, has just taken time. And that's why I mentioned it a couple of weeks ago that I wonder if the plan was to get promoted this season, or whether, obviously, we weren't going to say no thanks, but I wonder if the aim was to look at next season and start to build a squad towards that. And maybe it's just clicked a little bit earlier. But if that is the case, and if we manage to maintain everybody, whatever league we're in, and obviously we all hope it's the Championship, then that's really dangerous, because I think the unit that we've got there have now become very, very difficult to beat. So It's a really interesting one. I think, yeah, he deserves a huge amount of credit. I've said this several times. He deserved the criticism, I think, that was coming. Obviously not the abuse, but the criticism of the way we were playing. I don't think we ever said anything on this pod that was unfair. We called out the playing style. We said it wasn't good enough. Whether he agrees or not, is a different point. But we did change it around. We did change it. There was a massive shift in the style of play. And you look at how much the midfield now control games, whereas for early part of the season, we were saying the midfield were anonymous in games, even when we were winning. I think that speaks volumes. So, yeah, okay, it's taken some time. He deserves credit for that, absolutely. But now we just look like an absolutely relentless force. And, that's down to him and the work of him and his staff and the board who have signed these players as well. So, yeah, it's a good start, but it's not done yet. Whether or not we were planning to go up this season, we're in the mix now. And now it has to be. Let's try and get ourselves into the championship. So, it's harsh to say it, but we haven't achieved anything yet.
Gavin Carter is in the building, says, I can't explain how important the crowd is. I hear it from Jones and the players constantly. And I mean, support on Tuesday night was superb. Was it best part of 900 up there? And the noise was fantastic, as we've come to expect from our away ends. And, we're selling out up and down the country at the moment, which is just brilliant to see. An interesting point here from Alex. He says, I think let's stop looking at top two because more likely than not we'll be disappointed. Whereas if we focus on securing the playoffs, we'll have a much larger chance of happiness. He says, is it bad that I don't want us to go up this season? I feel we aren't ready. And that if the other two promoted teams are Wrexham and Birmingham, they will be nowhere close to relegation. I mean, I'm not one to sniff at a chance of promotion, Mark, because they don't come round every season. So if we miss out by 2 points, then losing the playoffs, there's no guarantee that we're not going to finish 14th again next year, is there?
There isn't, no. But I can understand where Alex is coming from, because sometimes you do look at the bigger picture. How many of these players would be ready to step up? I mean, under this manager, I'd say probably he'd be able to get a lot out of them, and obviously you'd have a window and you could bring in a bit more experience. But people giving poor Alex in the chat a bit of pelters for it, but I understand that. And as a Charlton fan, you don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, though. If a chance comes to get to the playoffs, to get to Wembley, if we don't go up in automatic 2, take someone over 2 legs. I don't know. I couldn't answer if you asked me who would I prefer in the playoffs. Probably not Wickham would be the thing, because I just think Kone for me has been the player of the season. But it's difficult. But yeah, you don't want to. There is no guarantees for next season. But I think if we kept with this manager and we got a good window again in the summer, I think we could possibly build up with a momentum, because the team's coming down. Unless they're going to do a Birmingham and spend X amount of millions to bring players in, which is possibly unlikely. There probably might be a greater chance. I understand his reasoning behind thinking like that.
Lovely stuff. Right, let's hear one more interview. Then again, it was Stuart Smith who was up there on Tuesday night, and he spoke to Tom McIntyre, who made his first ADDICKS start.
First start for Charlton Athletic, and a very assured performance. You must be pleased with the way you played.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, actually. It's been a long time since I've started a game, so yeah, when I got the call up, it was something I was really looking forward to. And when you come into a team that's been winning and doing so well like the boys have, it's easy to sort of fit in and do what I'm good at, really. Yeah.
When did you know you were playing?
Probably Monday morning, I think. We go through shape and stuff the day before the game, and it was clear I was probably gonna get the call up. So I just tried to relish it, really.
That must be great. You're in position. You're thinking, "Oh, I'm playing in what could be the starting team."
Yeah. It's when you haven't played for a little while, it takes you back to your younger days when I was first getting in the first team at Reading, and you get that buzz and a little bit of nerves and excitement, and you feel a bit like a kid again when you come in.
Solid performance all round, though. Really, I don't think you put a foot wrong tonight. I think you were excellent. From me, probably the man of the match as far as Charlton were concerned. What a tough game, though.
Oh yeah, it was really tough. I think the manager said these are the ones that you can slip up with, and they put us under a lot of pressure. I think they had a clear way of playing, and as a back five, I think they made it tough for us, really. Well, all over the pitch, I'd say. We had to grind it out and really turn it on in the second half to get that 3 points.
good communication with your back line, making sure everything was solid. Sometimes you can play a bit of football, sometimes it's got to go long, hasn't it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And I think sometimes in the first half we were sort of playing a little bit in front of them and not putting them under enough pressure like they were probably doing to us at times. But the manager spoke to us at half-time, gave clear messages and said we needed to just put them under a bit more pressure and go back to what we're good at and basics, really. And I hope that people could see that we did that in the second half.
Well, you'll be hoping you'll be in the shape for the next game, won't you?
Yeah, I hope so. I'd love to get a run in the side and stuff. And like I say, when you're coming into a team that's I've been watching on the bench, watching them win most weeks, and it's been a pleasure to watch, and I've been sort of chomping at the bit to get involved.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer. It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the River. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. This is the big match preview. We've just been looking back at the win against Mansfield Town during the week. Now is the time to start to look ahead to not just the game on Saturday, but the whole day at the Valley. It's one of the best days of the Charlton calendar. It's the Upbeats walk this Saturday. So I'm delighted to say that we're now joined by Terry from the Charlton Athletic Community Trust and by one of the Charlton Upbeats themselves, Will, on Charlton Live. Good evening to the pair of you. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Evening, gents. You good?
Yeah, really good, Tel. I mean, I'll start with you then. So 10th Charlton Upbeats walk. Really looking forward to getting involved on Saturday. Tell us a little bit about the programme and why the fundraising over this weekend is so important.
Yeah, so as you're fully aware, and a lot of the fans know, that the Upbeats have been running probably 16 years now. This is our 10th year of the walk. So obviously a few years into when the Upbeats started, we understood that we need to try and raise funds to keep it going. It was such a great cause and is really growing by the sort of week still. So, we sort of come up with the idea of the walk, and we've never looked back really. This is the 10th year of it this year. And the donations we raise pays for not only the standard football that we deliver for the guys, it's all the social aspects that go with it as well. So that's evolved over the years. So we do residentials, we take the boys away to Belfast and playing tournaments, and it's not just a football now. It's more of a family run sort of project that delivers more than just football now, mate. More than just football.
Lovely stuff. Well, Will, we're delighted to have you on the show as well, a member of the Charlton Upbeats. I mean, why don't you tell us a little bit about what being a Charlton Upbeat means to you?
Well, for me, when it's like Upbeat, it's like uplifting people. So uplifting people like me, like to be passionate about football. So like to develop my skills, to see my new friends and parents, and it's all passion of running as well, and my fitness as well.
Yeah, and I mean we've had some of the guys on over the years, and they always tell us that being part of the Upbeats is like being part of an extended family. I mean, it's a chance to have good times with your mates every week, pretty much, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And I mean, yeah. Did you get involved in the game with Nathan Jones and the Charlton team this week?
I don't know, Terry.
No, he couldn't make that Tuesday. Will. I think he was busy, so he couldn't make that session. Yeah. But the lads, all the boys and Nathan were so good with the Upbeats. They always are. Every year we go down, and they really put on some effort to make the lads feel part of the team. Again, brilliant by the team to have us down now.
Lovely stuff. And then Will, then how much does just being part of the Upbeats mean to you overall then?
Well, for me, it's my life. I like playing football so much. So for me to develop all my skills, contact to the balls and score the goals, and just being there as well. And I like to be in relationships with the coaches as well, like Terry, Gavin, Carl. I like to be with them and speak to them and enjoy myself playing and speaking to them as well. And don't forget my friends as well. I like to speak to them as well and play football with my friends as well.
That's brilliant. Will, thanks very much. And then Terry, just finally then, so just remind us how people can donate and what that money goes towards.
So the walk's been closed off now. We've got 200 walkers, which is brilliant. You can find the donation links all on the CAC website, and I'm sure it's on the club website as well. And like we always say, every penny does help. Provide such a great project for these guys. We've got over 45 members now. Like Will, he's been one of the first in, and he's still with us. And like Will said, it's not, he loves coming on playing football, but it's the social aspect of it is massive, what a lot of people probably don't see. And the camaraderie they get from each other with going away centre parks this year. William went to, and it's like the boys holiday. They absolutely loved it. Away from parents, so it was like the in-betweeners on tour, when it will.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's brilliant. It's like I said, the football's brilliant, but what's wrapped around the football, it's just brilliant for the lads. And like Will said, we have relationships with all the parents, with all the Upbeats. We've known them so long. I've seen Will grow from a boy into a young man now, and it's just lovely to see.
Brilliant. Well, it's great to have you guys on the show. Really appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you bright and early on Saturday morning, where we'll be there for the walk. I'm really looking forward to it.
Lovely. Thanks, Lou. Thanks for having us, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, thank you.
There we go. That's
Cheers,
Will and Terry. Lovely stuff. Cheers for your time this evening. I've stuck the donation link in the YouTube description on the page there if you want to donate to our page. It's a 9-mile walk that we're doing on Saturday morning, snaking around southeast London. Really looking forward to it. If any of you guys are doing the walk as well, I see Tom saying he's doing it. Myself, Tom, Nathan will be there. Ben's going to be there. Stubbers is doing it with us as well. So if anyone else is going to be there, come up and say hello. It'd be great to see you. It's just my favourite day on the calendar. There's so many Charlton fans getting together for a really good cause. So that'd be really good. Make sure you donate. Right, let's look ahead again to our home game with Lincoln. Delighted to say now that Charlie from the Stacey West podcast has joined us. Charlie, good evening to you. How are you, my friend?
Evening, very good, thank you. I just want to actually just say I've just been sat there in the green room taking a little listen into the conversation that you guys have just been having, and it sounds like an amazing programme, and good luck for the walk on Saturday.
Thanks. That's really kind of you, Charlie. Thanks for saying that. Let's look ahead to it from a football point of view. How would you sum up the IMPS' season this year? I always find it interesting to try and picture where your expectations would be, because obviously you've come up relatively recently still out of non-league, but been a side that got into the playoffs under Michael Appleton of all people, so miracle workers. But yeah, how have you sort of seen this campaign?
Well, that's what a salary cap does for you anyway, getting us into the playoffs. No, look, we're sat in 12th place, and that kind of sums up the season. In terms of expectations, because that's where you always have to base it off, don't you? You have to base it off realistically. Where did we think we were going to be at the start of the season? Obviously, the back end of last year, we had a bit of an incredible run of games, 16 unbeaten. We were smashing teams left, right, and centre, who were realistically, on paper anyway, much better than us. And we were so close to getting into the playoffs, and of course, just missed out on the last day with Portsmouth at home beating us 2-0. Now, going into this season, of course, part of your mind is always thinking, well, can we do something like that again? Whether that means actually hitting the playoffs or whether that means kind of fighting around that 7th, 8th position. But I think there was also the level of realism of what League One this year was, and where our budget sits in this year's League One. of kind of the acceptance of, look, it's about going out, making sure we are still overachieving where our budget position is in the league table, but maybe having that kind of slight acceptance that the playoffs is probably a little bit too far out of reach this year. And I think that's basically how the season's gone. We've had some really good performances. We've had some really good results. We've had some not so great performances, some not so great results. And honestly, 12th place, almost equidistant between the relegation zone and the playoff spots, kind of sums it up about as perfectly as you can.
Hey, Charlie. You caught us in the reverse fixture at probably our lowest point of the season. We just lost at home to Crawley. I think we drew with you 0-0. Or maybe drew with you 0-0, obviously in terrible conditions as well, really windy, pretty dreadful game. So I don't feel like I certainly have a good handle on how you play. I was looking a little bit on FOTMob. You don't seem to have a lot of possession, but you don't seem to give away many chances. What sort of style has Skubala set you up in, and how do you tend to play, particularly away from home, coming to the Valley?
Yeah, well, again, it's really difficult. I think the way that we would want to play, and the style that I think Skubala definitely wants to have implemented, which he did so bearing in mind, he came in November of last year. November of last season. He came in, and it was a bit of a rocky start, and then obviously we had that kind of fly and run, as I mentioned, where we were playing some incredible football. Some of the passages of play were realistically, they were above League One standard sometimes. And suddenly we're kind of thinking, okay, this is now the way it's going to be. We're going to be playing some really exciting football. Now, you can't do that in League One week in, week out for season after season, because you will get found out, as I think most managers have probably figured out by now. And there have been a couple of games where we've probably taken that more defensive approach, that more kind of pragmatic approach. And I think that's kind of the way that we're going to go into Saturday. With the run that you guys are on, the form that you're in, and especially the home form that you guys are in. I think is it 14 goals scored in the last 6 games, all of those being wins as well at home. We do sort of sit there, and again, we're not going to be naive and go there expecting to have 70% of the ball and take the game to you. But we will still want to create some chances, and not just counter-attacks, but create some chances from deep as well, whilst maintaining, hopefully, kind of stopping your guys' attacks. Also, on top of that, set pieces are a huge thing for us. I think when a team is automatically really good at set pieces or really good at attacking set pieces and they score all the goals from it, there's kind of immediately that viewpoint that, oh, well, they can't actually be that good because all of their goals are coming from set pieces. And, I buy into that sometimes, but not all of the time. And I hope that isn't really the case here, but it's something that I think we could definitely attack you with.
Hey, Charlie, so who would you say we've got to look out for on Saturday then? Who's going to be your main danger?
Yeah, so obviously, first of all, in terms of the dangers to what we're probably going to want to do against you guys, it's going to be the defence. We have got quite a solid defence that have had its ups and downs over the course of the year. But Sean Rowan, for example, at left back, I think he's been outstanding all year. Some people have disagreed, but I think, again, on Tuesday night, he was one of the best. It's one of his best performances that we have seen. And I think him, along with someone like a Tom Hamer and Adam Jackson in defence, centre halves are going to be people who are definitely going to struggle to get past. Now, in terms of our main dangers up front and at the other end of the pitch, now, obviously, James Collins, striker, he knows where the back of the net is, especially in League One. But it's Jovan Makama for me on the right wing, who has really managed to turn his form around from a bit of an indifferent kind of season. He got a lot of stick from certain sections of the fan base. I was personally always a fan and hoped that there was this raw potential there as a striker. He's been moved out to more of a right winger in a 4-2-3-1 now, and has been thriving there over the past few weeks. And I think he's going to be the one to create an opportunity from that kind of a position, if anyone is.
Lovely stuff. Well, Charlie, cheers for giving us your time this evening. I'll be hopping on your show shortly, so looking forward to speak to you again very soon. But Terry was just on with the upbeats as well. He said he forgot to mention that it is the Lincoln Down syndrome side who are coming to play the Charlton Upbeats on Saturday before the game. So yeah, should be an interesting little prequel for the main event later on. So yeah, should be a good one. But yeah, Charlie, cheers for your time.
No, thank you very much. Looking forward to it.
Lovely stuff. That's Charlie from the Stacey West podcast. Looking ahead to the game from a Lincoln point of view. Let's look ahead to the game again from an Addicks point of view. Nathan Jones sat down for his pre-match presser. Lots of team news in here. Obviously, we're going to hear the news about Miles Leaburn as well, which we still need to talk about.
Lloyd, of course, you rested him because of minor calf one. How long do you expect him to be out for, if it is measurable in games, of course?
Look, Lloyd's closer today than he was on Tuesday, so it's a decision around him in terms of everything. So yeah, we'll see, because we want to be careful, but we also want to get as many of our best players on the pitch as we can.
And I've got to mention Therese Campbell as well has been outstanding. Well, most of the season, but last two specifically, with his goals. Went off, which looked like cramp, but not sure. How is Therese?
Yeah, cramp. It was just cramp. So we don't take chances with people, but especially an athlete like him. So no, just dusted him down, and God willing, he'll be ready to go.
And just as an update, if I may, additionally, obviously we've got Miles Leaburn out, Daniel Kanu obviously out, and Ashley Maynard-Brewer, who you mentioned, was on his way back. Any update on those three?
Well, probably in reverse order, really. So Miles is furthest away, Daniel is not too far, and Ashley's actually back training certain things. So that's the update, really. We won't see Miles this year, the rest of this season. Okay. With Daniel, we really hope we do.
Of our remaining 6 games, first one up at the Valley on Saturday against Lincoln, who sort of comfortable mid-table, so they're not being threatened with relegation, and probably not in the other direction either. Does that make it slightly more dangerous because they're relaxed and they can maybe not have that pressure that maybe the other 5 teams that are up, or 5 games that we've got to play are?
I have no idea what Lincoln's motivation is going to be like. I know they're well coached, I know they're well drilled, and I know they've got a good squad. But we can only prepare ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. And again, it's cliche, but that's all it is. So we cannot think, is it going to be harder? Is it going to be? Every game in League One is very, very difficult for a number of different reasons, and this is just another one of them.
Could be a special day at the Valley Saturday, of course. The crowds at the Valley have been getting bigger and noisier, and they're coming along the journey that you've always wanted them to come with, and it's Upbeats Day as well. On Saturday we're going to have the walk, which is the 10th anniversary. You had the Upbeats here at the training ground recently. We saw the video of you joining in and playing, and how's the ankles?
Yeah.
But it's always a smile on your face when you meet the Upbeats.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's just they do great work, They're another facet of this wonderful football club. So for them to have the walk, again, I think it's, as you said, 10th anniversary of that. So there'll be T-shirts, there'll be a real atmosphere, and we want that. We always want that. We want people to come and enjoy the day, but ultimately they enjoy it and better when we play well and we do what we need to do. So that's what we'll be concentrating on, but we'll enjoy every little facet of a match day at the Valley, because it is a special place when it's like it has been.
And the Upbeats could do with obviously they rely heavily on supporter funding, and Charlton fans have always stepped up with that, and so they've got a double reason to do so on Saturday.
Well, Charlton fans, all I can say to Charlton fans is just keep doing what you're doing. They've supported the Upbeats, they turn up, they've got right behind the team. All those things keep doing, because they're a big part of what we are trying to achieve, what we've of the momentum that we've gained. They are a big part of that, and the support they give to the Upbeats is truly outstanding. And I have no doubt that they will continue to do that. But if they need any prompting from me, then let's get behind it and do everything. But look, they're a very strong-willed bunch, our fans. So I know exactly where their heart would be on the weekend.
Appreciate it, Nathan. Thank you.
No worries.
There we go. Nathan Jones encouraging everyone to click the link on our YouTube page and donate to the Upbeats. We've got 750 quid donated already, but we'd love some more on our page, or just stick it on any page, really. It doesn't really matter as long as it goes to the Upbeats. James says the Charlton fans have been the best versions of themselves, according to Nathan Jones. The thing that really worries me actually going into Saturday, Tom, is it sounds like Lincoln might be quite well coached, which is not really something we've come up against too often this season. It's all about us, isn't it? Big team news. I mean, there's 2 bits of team news. Lloyd Jones may be back, and Miles Leaburn definitely not back. Which one should we focus on for Saturday? Let's go for Jones first. If there's any risk, then I guess you don't risk him when the likelihood is, even though we don't want it to be, the likelihood is we've got a playoff campaign to come at the end of the season.
Yeah, not only are they well coached, I think they're well drilled as well. So very rare that we come up against a side that are both of those things. So
triple threat if they're well managed. Yeah,
I don't know what we can say about what we need to be in order to beat them, but I think in answer to the centre back, look, we were just talking about McIntyre earlier in the show, and as I say, he was, I think, competent is almost offensive. He just did his job and he did it very effectively. So exactly as you said, why risk Lloyd Jones? I think if you'd put someone in and he'd had a howler or something like that, or you'd put in a youth product who looked a bit nervous or anything, I totally get it. But not. I thought McIntyre was fine. He was comfortable. He did a job. He seemed to connect well with the others. So yeah, just give Lloyd Jones the break. We've still got a few games to play, as you say, potentially playoffs as well. And if we were to go through the playoffs and be successful, or at least get to Wembley, you need basically our best centre-back in that side. And so to risk him now for that is just not worth it. So, yeah, I don't think there'll be any changes there.
Leeburn, how much of a miss is Miles Leeburn going to be between now and the end of the season, Mark? So he's going to be out, you know. We're going to rely a little bit more on Chucks, maybe a bit more often. No Dan Carnew. There's a secret weapon off the bench that we've just lost. How big a part is that going to play?
I don't want to understate it. I think it's a huge thing to hear that today, that he's not going to be there for the rest of the games is a concern, because it does weaken that bench. It weakens the options. I mean, it had his critics this season, but he'd scored, a lot of goals and does an important job of the team. So yeah, you're now looking at the bench behind, and you're going to have Chucks for Gasman, Hilton, Carnew if he gets back. It does start to lower it a touch and put a lot more pressure on the front two who have it at the moment. But I think it's pressure which, one, Godden would know how to deal with because of his experience, and TC is thriving under. So if they can stay fit, I mean, what I don't want is some big ugly centre half kicking TC up in the air and volume on the way down, and then that's him out, and then we are going to find our options slightly more limited. But as you're right, we still do have weapons on that bench. We can change the system. And I think Chuck's, the one which was offside was a great strike. The one on Tuesday night was a great strike. I think he's so desperate to get that goal, that can actually go in our favour. So it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be impossible. I'd be more concerned, I think, if we start to get injuries all the way through. And again, I wouldn't change it for Lloydie. I wouldn't bring Lloydie. I think McIntyre, I was slightly worried because Pompey fans weren't too complimentary about him. But for what I've seen so far, I'm happy with him there.
Lovely stuff. Right, Alex is saying, has there been any sightings of Lloyd Jones in any Sainsbury's recently? It's still 2-0 to Eltham Sainsbury's on the Lloyd Jones spots. Alex says, I've been to Eltham Sainsbury's 3 times since Tuesday looking for him and not seen him once. Well, there you go. London Pommy says, I've applied for a part-time job there, so I can see if I can get paid to stand around waiting to see if Lloyd Jones is doing his shopping. James saying maybe Dixon could fill as an outlet at the end of the game. He can also press a bit. Well, yeah, we saw him come off the bench the other day against Huddersfield. So maybe an option. Still being used relatively sparingly, but we'll see. And there's a couple. Michael's saying Stockport and Wrexham in the playoffs could be a worst case scenario for Charlton. Both clubs have been around that pressure in the past 3 seasons and done well. Nothing new for them. I mean, all hell let loose sent a DM during the week, sort of asking what teams, if it is to be playoffs, are we starting to think about what teams we want to face? But I'm still 2 weeks away from having that thought in my head, because I still want to push for top 2. But if the picture looks very different in 2 weeks, maybe we'll have that conversation. But we'll see. I think we've run out of time on tonight's show. Really, really looking forward to Saturday. Going to be a great day with the Upbeats walk. Hopefully be a great day on the pitch as well. We're into a really exciting end of the season. We've played our way well into contention, not just for playoffs, but for top 2. It's going to be a fascinating end to this campaign. It's been a great season. Let's hope that we can get over the line one way or another between now and the end of the campaign. Right, don't forget, check out our merch store, charltonlive.etsy.com if you want a Charlton Live mug. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you see that as well. Make sure you donate to our Charlton Live Upbeats page. The link is on our YouTube page for this show. I'll also put it on Twitter during the week as well, so you can donate towards the Upbeats Walk Saturday morning So be there or be square if you are signing up for that. Right, massive thanks to everyone who's joined us on the show this evening. Tom and Mark, been an absolute pleasure to share this evening with you two as well.
See you bright and early Saturday.
Lovely stuff. Right, I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. We'll be back on Sunday morning to look back at the Lincoln game. We shall see you then.